trades, and today I will be giving an honest review of one of my books. I'm an author, an indie author, so I've self-published a few books, and this is the second episode of this series where I will be giving you a very, very honest review of my own work. So you'll see some positives and you'll definitely see some negatives, because if any of you guys are authors out there, you know, you go back and you read your books and you're just like, man, I would change this. Like, give me the red pen, give me the whiteout, give me the matches. Like, it's just, you just read your own stuff and you're just like, whoops, I made a mistake. So I really thought that this series would be a lot of fun because I don't really take anything very seriously. So this is the perfect way for me to tell you guys about my books, but also make sure you know what you're getting into 100% before you buy them. Because that's the most nerve-wracking part, honestly, of selling books. When you hand somebody something, you're like, man, I hope you like this. I hope that you skip page 96. I hope that they don't read the thing at the end. You know, that kind of thing. You're like, you get so nervous that they're not gonna like it. But if I'm upfront with you, I don't have to be nervous. You know what you're getting into. So this book is called Pathways. And this is I would like to call it a young adult novel, but I have been told by many, many people that this is not a young adult novel because the protagonist is a freshman in college. That's young adult to me, so I don't really know what else to call it. But apparently young adult is for readers that are like 17 and under. And I'm like, if I was 17, I would want to read, I can write, I can't talk, okay? I would want to read about a girl going off to college because that'd be like the next thing I'm doing. So anyway, oh yeah, that's what this is about. So this is about a girl named Kate Riley who goes off to college and hijinks ensue. I was feeling nostalgic for, you know, that freshman year moment of going off to college and having a dorm room and meeting new people and realizing you're a total loser. You know, that moment in your life. I was like, oh, I want to relive that. I looked everywhere for a novel that was about that, and I couldn't find one. And so in true Jen fashion, I went, okay, I'll write it. I'll just do it myself. And so let me tell you about this book before I get into the negative stuff. It's literally the story of how I wrote it. It could be considered a negative part of this review. So the protagonist, Kate Riley, goes off to college and discovers that she has a superpower. And you guys are like, oh, now this is getting good, right? So she has a superpower, but it sucks. She has a superpower called empathy. Not the kind of empathy we're used to in like the real world, but like when she goes into a crowded room, if somebody has a broken leg, suddenly she feels like she has a broken leg. Or if somebody has a major anxiety attack, suddenly she feels like she's having an anxiety attack. And that's how she starts figuring out that she can feel the emotions of people around her. And so it's a really cool superpower, but it sucks. Like, actually living with that superpower sucks. And that was kind of the idea that grew from the original premise of this book. And then she meets other students and even a teacher who also have superpowers that suck. Case in point, there's a guy that has prophetic dreams. Like, that's cool, right? You see the future in your dreams, but they're really vague, so he has to kind of interpret them, and they keep him from reaching deep sleep. He's only ever in REM sleep, so he's constantly tired. Superpowers that suck. Now you catch my drift. So this band of misfits basically comes together to figure out what happened, how they got these powers, how they're all connected, and then, you know, crazy epic battles ensue, kind of. And, you know, it's got all the fun of your first year away at college, but with a supernatural flair. So I think the story is really fun. Interesting thing about this story, none of it was storyboarded, none of it was planned out. I sat down to the computer and went, I'm gonna write a book about a girl who goes off to college, and then like 3 chapters in, I was like, whoa, she has superpowers? I was literally surprised by my own plot. Like, as I wrote, it just kind of came out, and it was like I was reading the book as I was writing it, and I was really excited. And I was shocked by the ending. I was legitimately shocked by my own ending. I wrote this and I was shocked. That's weird, okay? So I think that this book has a great story and it's just wonderfully told. And let me talk a little bit about the cover. I'm staying with the positive stuff real quick. So this is the cover. It says Pathways and my name. It's actually a cover that spans both parts, which is kind of cool. So what I love about this cover is actually I designed it, but it's really cool. It's actually, it looks like it's the veins of a heart, and you can't really tell, but this is actually a girl trapped in the veins of a heart. And it looks like she's like falling into it. But honestly, this picture is actually supposed to be facing this way. It's me doing a dance move and a heart is like overlaid on top of it. So this is actually where I started getting interested in graphic design. So this cover was the first cover I ever designed. I'm very, very proud of it. It's a little pixelated, but you know, whatever, I don't care. You don't buy the book for the cover, do you? Do you? You at least judge it, right? Ha. Anyway, the title, here's where we get into kind of negative stuff. The title of this book, I really should have put more thought into it. I went with pathways because empath, play on words, and I figured all the people came from different pathways to converge in this one place. Like looking back on it, it actually makes sense, but if you really want to know why I named it that, I kind of just named it. I didn't really put too much thought into it. I was like, yeah, pathways, I like that, that's cute. Like you would think I would have had some more forethought into that. So I would have probably named the series Pathways and given this like its own name had I had any forethought in writing this book, but I didn't, so Pathways it is. I have to find some other name for the series once I actually sit down to write the next one. Getting to that in a minute. The other thing about this book is that I did write this while I was in grad school, just like my other books, so some parts are a little wordy, a little too descriptive. I was writing dissertations for my classes at the point. Like at that point I was writing like my thesis and I decided to write a young adult novel. Some of it doesn't read for a young adult, okay? Like some of it uses like language that's just not for this type of book. Being completely honest, like again, the storyline, the plot is fantastic, but I think I describe a turkey wrap way too much. Like I put way too much description for a turkey wrap, which by the way, that will make you so hungry when you get to that part of this book because I really describe it. Another thing is that this book is set at a real actual school that I attended. So I had to write a disclaimer in this book that basically says none of these events actually happened. There was no conspiracy theory at this actual school because otherwise this could be considered like slander or something. And no, it was just a setting. This is the school I knew best. It's set at Florida State University because I went there. And if anyone's a Gators fan who's really, really mad at me now, that's okay. I taught at UF, so I'm also a Gator. And if you're a Georgia fan who's now really, really mad at me, that's okay. I'm a huge fan of the Georgia Gym Dogs. And if you're a Hurricane who's now really, really upset at me, that's okay. I went there too for a year. I got you covered. I got everybody covered. Somebody who's not from Florida or this area is like, why do y'all care? And I'm like, don't even get me started on school rivalries. Anyway, so where was I going with this? Right, so the amount of time it took me to write this book. So I was in grad school, as I said, and so everything's very wordy. The other thing about this book is the amount of time it took me to write it. This is a 267-page book that I wrote in 13 days. It only took me 13 days to write it. It took me 10 years to publish it because I never actually thought it was like worthy of publishing or I didn't know how to publish. And then my dad and I published our book and I was like, oh, I should totally publish my book. So I did. Yeah, it only took me 2 weeks to write it. I probably should have spent more time on it. There are certain parts having read it now that I'm just like, you know, I'd fix that if I could do it again. And I could make another edition, but honestly, I went through hell to put this book together. So, and with the amount of fighting I've been doing with Amazon lately over the other book, which watch the other video and you will totally understand what I'm talking about, let's just leave this as it is and write the sequel and just make it better. I think it's fine. I also wouldn't have access to this cover, so I'd have to completely redesign the cover as well because all of it was linked to the other account, but that's fine. Other things about this book that I would say are a negative is the size of the text. I don't know what happened, I don't know how, but it came out pretty tiny. So get your reading glasses, folks, because the print is really small. And that's another thing that you can't just like fix, you know, once you've published it. So is what it is. But yeah, all in all, I'm really proud of this book. I know I said a lot of negative things, but there's positive things too. I'm really proud of this book, and I think the story is movie worthy. And hey, script writers, I'm just kidding, or not. And I think it's movie worthy. I think it will captivate you. I think by the end of the book, you're gonna see the cliffhanger I left it on and go, Jen, where's book 2? And I'll be like, get into it. I kind of started to write one. I did create one character for the second book based off my best friend that you guys see in Safety Scissors and Duct Tape vlogs. So he will be appearing in the second version, or in the sequel to this book. I feel like it's going to be like a 3 or 4 part series when I actually sit down to do it. And you would think that quarantine would be like the perfect time, but I'm actually really busy. But anyway, so this book, Honest Review, Pathways by Jen Vermees. If after this honest review you're actually interested in purchasing this book, cool, awesome. The link's down below. You can find it on Amazon. It is available on both Kindle and hard copy. I do have some hard copies in my house that if anyone is like dying for a signed copy, I could totally like sign it and mail it to you, but it will have an extra shipping cost. But my signature is kind of ugly anyway, so I don't know why you'd want that. I'm a math teacher too, so like just imagine your math teacher's handwriting. Perfect. So yeah, this book, Amazon. I'm really, really good at writing apparently, but not so good at talking. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me for this honest review of my own work. I do have some other novels I will be reviewing soon, so make sure you subscribe to check that out. I do have tons of other videos. Most of them are basically just me roasting my own sense of fashion, doing crazy challenges with my best friend, unboxing things. I love unboxing things. And, you know, general chats about lifestyle. Sure, what does that word even mean? But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Subscribe to join the fam and hit the notification bell if you want to know when I drop weird videos like this. And I'm gonna run out of books soon, that's the thing. I only have written 4 so far. I am in the middle of writing a second poetry book, so I'll have 5 to review eventually, but right now I only have 4. So if you guys eventually have indie books that you would like me to read and maybe review, honestly, hopefully they're your own, then I would be happy to do that. Drop that in the comments down below. But yeah, thank you guys again for hanging out with me, and I will see you next time.